we are again. Alice's magic really is incredible, huh? Right. Alice mentioned we should be on the lookout for clues. Huh?
A corner of repose for countless tales, watched over by the honor of knights. A place for stories to sleep, perchance to dream of ancient cities and the epics of ages past. There, a witch once spent a sleepless night, and all to bring forth a story yet untold. Find the place I speak of, for it is where the seeds of this story lie.
Was that a riddle? Where do you think this mysterious place could be? Hey, you might actually be onto something. Guess that means we need to head back to Mondstadt?
I had a feeling that's where we would be headed. After all, it's where my mother was from, and I bet it's where she wrote this story, too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Still, I feel bad about dragging the two of you along on such a long journey.
Don't worry about it. We don't really have much going on right now, so we're all yours. Come on, let's go! Back in the Mondstadt Library, huh? Talk about a trip down memory lane.
So, we're supposed to find the seeds of the story, right? What do you think that means?
Well, we're in a library, so it's gotta be books, right? But seriously, there's so many here. How are we supposed to know which ones we need?
Making a racket in a library? You should know better than that.
Lisa! Oh, sorry about that.
Now, who do we have here? Ah, my golden-haired cutie. And my little horn cutie, too.
Sorry, Miss Lisa. I know you taught me to be quiet in the library, but Paimon was just trying to help. Please don't be too hard on her.
Well, it has been far too long since we saw each other, so I suppose I can let it slide just this once. Back when he first arrived here, poor Jean wasn't sure what to do with him, so I stepped in to lend a hand. I figured if I can handle a boy raised by wolves, then teaching one who's part dragon should be a walk in the park.
Nice! Sounds like Durin was welcomed with open arms.
Why, of course. Now, let's save the reminiscing for another time. I'm sure you're here for a reason. Did you need to borrow some books?
It's kind of hard to explain. Maybe you could take a look at this.
Oh? Ah, I see. These so-called seeds of the story must be the books that inspired its creation. That's just how it is with stories. They grow out of the tales that came before them. And that mage, I can almost picture her here, hundreds of years ago, scribbling away at one of these very desks.
But we don't know anything about this story. How are we supposed to figure out which books inspired it?
As it happens, just before I found you here, I was looking into something rather peculiar. One of the knights reported seeing some books that weren't listed anywhere in our catalog. Stranger still, just as he went to reach out for them, the books vanished into thin air. And then a while later, while he was browsing through other shelves, there they were again.
Seriously?
That particular knight knows this library inside and out. I'd be very surprised if he was seeing things. Something tells me these might just be the magical books you're after. According to the report, there are 3 of these books in total. I'll be relying on you to track them down, cuties. Well, did you manage to find them? Seems like there's still some missing. Why don't you try checking the other shelves?
The threads of your fate lie in... An experiment log? Looks like part of the title's been erased. There's something seriously suspicious about this book.
Please be quiet within the premises. You're making a racket.
Let's hang on to this one for now. Could be one of the ones we're looking for. It's one of M's, after all. Second strongest spell in existence. Do not show Klee. Wait, there's actually a book like that right here in the Mondstadt library? That title's just gonna make people even more curious. Huh. There's definitely something fishy about this one. Kinda looks like a poetry collection. But why is part of the title missing? Let's see what Lisa makes of it. Oh, wait! Did Klee write this one? Should this even be here? We better show it to Lisa.
Well, did you manage to find them? Well, it definitely shouldn't be here, but I'd highly doubt it's one of the books you're looking for. Because this is something Klee wrote. It's a compilation of all the best fish blasting spots around Mondstadt, as well as the most convenient places to stash her new jumpy dumpties. Of course, there's no way she'd get away with keeping a book like that in her bag. And she'd be in big trouble if Jean were to find out. Not only would the book itself be confiscated, but she'd be looking at a whole day in solitary confinement at the very least. Somehow, she figured out that the best place to hide it was right here. No place like a forest for hiding trees, huh? Now, every time it gets confiscated, she just writes a new one and sneaks it back in. Yes, so thanks for helping me find it. I'll finally be able to hand it over to Jean. Well, did you manage to find them? Well, this book has quite an obvious connection with that mage, considering she was the one who wrote it. But as one of the library's classics, its presence here is hardly unusual. It really is a must-read, so if you haven't read it yet, that's your homework, cutie. Well, did you manage to find them? Truly extraordinary, and certainly not the kind of thing that should be just lying around. In fact, Miss Alice gave strict instructions about it.
So, it's some kind of book of spells? Paimon's guessing magic this powerful should be kept a secret.
It's true. This book does contain one of Miss Alice's spells. But honestly, virtually no one could actually pull it off, even if they tried. The only reason it's even meant to be in the restricted section is because we can't let Klee get her hands on it. After Klee was born, Miss Alice advised us to seal it away. She even added that little subtitle herself.
So, it's to keep it away from Klee, huh? Does that mean she could use it to cause even more mayhem than she already does with Jumpy Dumpty?
No, that's not it. As Miss Alice herself put it, letting Klee see it too early would spoil the surprise. Well, did you manage to find them? Huh. This book definitely doesn't belong here.
Yeah, we could tell just from reading the title.
Albedo was the one who brought it in. He suggested I place it on the restricted list and keep it sealed away.
Why?
He said it's full of forbidden alchemical formulas, some of which could even result in the creation of dangerous monsters. Apparently, the danger it posed was so great, he didn't even feel like it was safe to carry around or keep it in his workshop.
Really? Definitely sounds like it shouldn't be here then.
Still, if that mage read this book too, it must have been written a lot earlier than I'd imagined. Well, did you manage to find them? Yes, this is a restricted book, all right. It certainly isn't supposed to be here.
Huh. But it looks like a regular poetry collection. How did it end up being classified as a restricted book?
The issue lies with one of the poems inside. You've heard of the great battle that took place on Dragonspine, yes? 500 years ago, during the cataclysm in Conria, an evil dragon descended upon Mondstadt. A fierce battle with Dvalin ensued, but in the end, the evil dragon fell, and Dragonspine became its resting place.
You're talking about Durin, the Durin of Dragonspine.
Well, the poem in question turns the whole battle into a dance, with the evil dragon recast as an innocent child who came here in search of friends. But given all the suffering experienced at the claws of that dragon, how could the people of Mondstadt accept such a retelling? Bards are often accused of inventing history or distorting the truth in their ballads. But this one hit a bit too close to home. And since the Knights back then were unable to track down the author, they decided to ban the entire collection, blot out the title, and seal it away for good.
So the version in the poem, it was all a lie?
I'm afraid that question is something only the dragon himself could answer. Well, would you look at that? Seems like these are the little troublemakers you're after. And all three just so happen to be forbidden texts. What kind of story requires reference material like that, I wonder?
Forbidden texts? You know, the first time you mentioned that the library had a restricted section, Paimon thought you were just trying to scare us. Are you saying it actually exists?
Not really something you should be poking your little nose into, is it, cutie?
Sorry.
Seeing as it was Miss Alice who asked you to look for these books, I won't question the matter. But they'll need to be sealed away again once you're done, so don't forget to return them.
Don't worry, Miss Lisa. I won't forget.
Well then, that's all from me. After all that hard work, I think I've earned myself a nice cup of tea.
All right, we've gathered all the reference books. What's next?
Wait, look!